welcome back to my channel. In today's video I would be talking about preparing for marriage and just sharing my experience with that. I know that it's a topic that is familiar to some people. It's probably not familiar to some people. What's the point? Is there any need to do it? If you're interested in finding out my thoughts about this, then stay tuned. Okay, so a very brief background, case in point. This is actually a reshoot for this topic, and it's just gonna fit into my whole point why you need to prepare. So the first time I wanted to record this, I was gonna wing it. I was like, you know what, I think I already know what I'm going to say. And believe me, there were like moments of Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will be talking about preparing for marriage. It seems like a topic that not a lot of people are conversant with. No, that's not what I want to talk about. Just like gathering my thoughts and trying to get them, together to be able to articulate what I was going to talk about. So obviously I needed to prepare. These things are not just spontaneous. They're things that you're actually preparing for. So if I'm taking the time to prepare for this video that is going to hopefully be short, then how much more, important would it be for me to prepare for a journey that I'm about to embark on for like the rest of my life? If you're a Christian and if you're a child of God and you're trying to do marriage God's way, then you're thinking long term. You're thinking no divorce. You're thinking we're not going to separate. So if it's something that it's a journey that you're hoping to go on for the long haul, then it's only wisdom for you to prepare. The Bible says to count the cost before you build. You're not going to just randomly jump into it and feel like it's all going to work out. Let's just see how it goes. I don't think that married people would agree with that. It takes work, it takes investment, and I feel like it's important to prepare. So that's my own opinion. If you don't agree, that's okay too. So basically, some of the things that I did, I feel like the very first time that I felt God inspired me to think about marriage or to even start to prepare for it was probably about 7 years ago, I think. Yeah, it's been a very long time, but yeah. And in my own understanding or in my own knowledge of what I felt I knew to do was to read books. So I would read books on relationships. I would read books on, single, satisfied, and sassy, I think, just books on relationships that I felt like would teach me. One of the books I also read was like Understanding the Purpose of Marriage by Dr. Miles Monroe of blessed memory. That was a really, really amazing book because people marry for like different reasons. Let's make so that we don't pay so many bills. Let's live together so that we can cut down on our expenses. Those are some of the reasons. Oh, liberty or license for us to start having sex. That's another reason some people get married. Or there's various reasons that people get married, and so it's not a surprise that marriages fail, or it's not a surprise that the divorce rate is alarming, and it's just out there. So for me, the things that I knew to do, I would listen to people that encourage singles. One of the people that I listen to and I just love following her is Heather Lindsay. She talks about marriage. And then one resource that I also not recently, probably a year or two, that I've been following them and just kind of working through with them is the One University. So the founders of that organization is Jamal and Natasha Miller, and they're doing such an amazing job. Like, it's basically just a 7-stage program. They didn't pay me to do this. I mean, I've gone through the university, and yeah, for a lot of my fellow people, I know we don't like to pay for stuff like this, but it's actually a worthy investment. I'm not being paid to do this, or it's just something that has blessed me, something that has helped me, and I think it will be a valuable resource for you as well. So because we go to school for everything, we get certifications, we learn, so why wouldn't we invest in ourselves for stuff that we know we're trying to go the long haul for? So that's another resource that I also took advantage of. And then I just kind of listen to people. I follow people that have marriages that are admirable. You want to have that picture, you want to have that goal, something that you can just also a picture that kind of shows you the kind of future that you desire, and just follow those people, learn from their wisdom, so you're not repeating the same things that they've done. And I feel like you taking the time to also do that is going to change your mindset and your perspective of what you believed marriage to be, or how you thought marriage was going to be. So even before you're going into that marriage, you're going into it aware, you're going into it knowing that you're on a mission. So for me, my desire is to do marriage God's way, basically, which is just to establish the kingdom of God here on earth. So my marriage should be purposeful, it should be purpose led, not just, I'm not saying like there's no other attributes, but for me, that I find that over the years that has been like it's a huge deal breaker. Like if I feel like I can't fulfill my purpose, or you can't encourage me to fulfill my purpose, or even encourage you to fulfill your purpose, it's just going to be really hard to embark on that journey with certain people. Praying and just having God to help you discover who you are, know yourself, because you don't want to make someone else responsible for discovering you, if that makes any sense. Basically, you want to understand yourself, you want to know who you are, and then you can present who you are to somebody else. You also want to find out what your worth is. I believe you want to know, like, what value would you be adding to this relationship? Like, what would you be? Are you just going to be a taker, or are you going to be a giver? Like, what is your worth, basically? Like, what would you be bringing into this relationship that you're desiring, or this marriage that you're desiring? So for me, I feel like that's also important for us to, as single people, just to take the time out to work on yourself. And there's a lot of resources out there just to kind of learn your personality, to learn what your love languages are. Interview yourself, just ask yourself questions. What makes you happy? What makes you sad? What are your preferences? What are your goals? What are your desires? Who are you? What makes you you, basically. Learn who you are, and then obviously you can present who you are to people. One of the things that I also did, or that I keep doing, not also not did, is to journal. I cannot like overemphasize the benefits and the power of journaling. Like, I've been journaling roughly, I'll probably say maybe about 9-10 years now, and it's been an incredible experience for me, because it not only reminds me of God's faithfulness, but it's like a prayer avenue for me, where I just cast all my cares on God, and just cast all the burdens and everything, and I just like, God literally releases certain burdens from me when I just write those things down to Him as a prayer journal. So I think it's very important, if you're not doing that, if you're not like just writing your experiences or your thoughts, anything that God inspires you to do, really, because your brain is not going to remember or hold everything. You need to write things down. Experiences that you get, anything that confuses you, just write them down. I shared a quick story a while back. So I was trying to do another video, which was on something else, and I just kind of got scared. I was afraid that maybe I'd missed God, maybe in me just searching for what I felt God was drawing into my life, maybe I actually missed Him. I've met a lot of different people up until this point in my life. What if I actually missed God? And I was legitimately like afraid. I was like, oh my God, God, have mercy on me. Like, have mercy. Like, I just, it's based on the understanding that I had. That's just how I kept moving and trusting you to lead me with the people that I was relating with, the relationships I would go into. So I was really scared. I was even like, there was a relationship I couldn't even remember. Like, why didn't that relationship work out? Like, what was the excuse? What was like, what happened? What did I say? Like, what did I do? I couldn't remember. I was like, God, I don't know what it is. So at the end of that day, I started to write and just to journal, just expressing all of that, and just asking God to forgive me, or to just, have mercy upon me. And two things that God reminded me of while I was doing that was Abraham. Now, you remember when Abraham also was waiting for the promise. He was waiting for Isaac to be born. And then in the process of waiting, Sarah brings her slave Hagar and says, okay, sleep with this one. Let's have a child with this. That was a mistake that Abraham did. But God did not use that mistake to, curse Ishmael and say, because you could not wait for the promise, I'm going to destroy it. I mean, Ishmael was still blessed, and God still went ahead and gave him his promise. Like, He still gave him Isaac. So also, like, if you think about David too, with his mistake with Bathsheba, Solomon was born afterwards. So even though there was a consequence of him losing that child from the adultery that he committed, but like God did not say because that had happened, he wasn't going to bring the promise into his life. As a matter of fact, like Solomon ended up being, the wisest king. He ended up being the one that God chose and said, it is you that would build the temple for me. You're the one that's going to build my house. So I'm just like, that was how God encouraged me. Like, so even if which I don't think, but even if peradventure I made a mistake or I actually missed a potential spouse, at some point during my walk, that's like God just reminding me of, I have you, like you're all right, I've got you, I lead you, I guide you, my spirit is within you. And honestly, like that fear vanished, it just dissipated, it went away. So journaling is such a powerful tool. I don't know, I don't know how else I can emphasize it, but basically that is it. Another thing that I would also like to mention is just this concept of, idolizing marriage. It was something that was new to me up until about 2 years ago. I never like really heard it so much or even thought that it was a thing. But it's also like, it's something that you have to be mindful of as a single person, not to idolize marriage. Like you can desire it so much that it's your waking thoughts. It's like everything on your mind, and you don't want to put anything else in place of God. Like God is your number one. God is your priority. You don't, and you need to start practicing that like right now, how to just make God your all and everything, so you're not putting anyone or anything else before God. And I had like an experience because I was talking to a while ago, I was like talking to a friend of mine, and I just noticed that because it was like a new friendship, so I was so excited. And then we were talking, and then every now and then, so certain things that I would normally have done, I was paying more attention to this friend and just kind of getting more conversation going because I just wanted to invest in that friendship. And then the Holy Spirit just reminded me, it was like, do you know that if you don't do the things that you're supposed to be doing for me, you are actually idolizing this friendship, you're idolizing this person, or you're idolizing, it could be whatever. Maybe you were watching TV instead of doing what God wanted you to do, or whatever it is, you went somewhere, anything, it could be anything. It's that easy for us to lose track and place other things above God. So him drawing my attention to that was like so mind-blowing. I was like, wow, oh my God, I never even thought that I did that, or that I could do something like that. So it was really, really refreshing that God called me out on that and got my attention back on him, and just helping me to practice that as best as I can. There's lots of books out there on relationships, preparing for marriage, God's way, lots and lots of things. You just have to be wise about it as well. Be wise about your relationships. You want to be smart. Like if I have a conversation with someone now, and certain things like faith, obviously for me is like it's a non-negotiable thing. If we're not in sync on that, like there's no point entertaining that with the purpose of a potential relationship. Like it could be a friendship, yes, that's fine, but you would save yourself the heartache of trying to make something that you already know is not going to work. And for me, that's like how I love smart. Like you just want to make sure that you're not opening up your heart to everyone, but at the same time you're stay open to meet people, but just know where you're headed and who you're able to like follow on that journey, the path that God has had for you. I think those were like the main things I wanted to share in this video. I hope that it blesses you. I did have notes. That's why I was looking down a couple of times to just check and be sure that I addressed everything. If there's anything else, obviously I'll share it with you guys, but I hope I can keep this short, hopefully. Yeah, so I hope that this blesses you. I hope that if preparing for marriage wasn't something that you have ever thought about, this would actually get you thinking, and you'll start to put things in place and just to get your perspective changed and invest in yourself, and obviously invest in your future marriage. Praying definitely is very important. You want to make sure you're constantly praying. You're going to continue praying anyway, so you might as well just start praying for your future spouse now. So I hope that this video blesses you. I hope that you found encouragement and you find it relatable as well. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. All right, so my experience with this topic, with preparing for marriage. What's going on? What's happening, Lord? Time. So the other thing that I would mention as well, this is not going well, God. This is not going well. I don't know if I'm going to use this video. I don't know if I'm going to use this video unless what? I don't even know what I knew to do. And then I grew up Christian. I grew up raised by my mom, and she taught me, scrap all of those, delete everything I just said, and start over. So preparing for marriage, what is, what's that concept about? Is this something that people actually find weird? Is it an experience that a lot of people go through or not? I remember the very first, well, maybe I'm not ready and I'm just forcing this video.